.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez as we cover the last of the sentencings of the U.S. soldiers involved in the Haditha Massacre of 2005. That left 24 Iraqi civilians dead, many of them in their nightclothes, men, women, and children. Layla Fadal is the Baghdad bureau chief for McClatchy newspapers. We're going to turn to this short video posted on the McClatchy website based on her reporting.
Yusuf Aiz Ahmed has memorized the places where his four brothers' bodies laid after they were killed by U.S. Marines, he said. The family recounts that November day in 2005 and says it was a massacre of the brothers along with 20 other people following a roadside bomb in Haditha. Marines raided the house and shot the unarmed men in their heads in this back bedroom, the family said. Now they are angry that no one is being held accountable. Charges against 6 of the 8 Marines accused in the case were dismissed, and 1 Marine was found not guilty on all charges.
I'm angry at those who send them innocent. They weren't supposed to be sent innocent. That's it.
The reminders of their deaths are everywhere. The white plaster that filled in the bullet holes in the wall, the dried blood that are now just faded gray spots under a new paint job on the ceiling, and the closet where one brother was shot inside and the other's corpse leaned up against the wardrobe.
I know that. I am a condemned.
Relatives did the Muslim pilgrimage on their behalf after they were killed, and their mother, Khadija Hassan, framed the certificates and put them on a wall. Now Ahmed supports his family alone, with no help from his brothers.
No supporters. This is our life.
What is our life now? This is our life. If only they had stayed alive. I don't want anything else. If only they had stayed alive. God spared this boy to support us. In 2 other homes, women, children, and men were killed. Some no longer want to talk to journalists, angry that they told their stories many times, and it brought them nothing.
Like me, my fire, no one knows the fire inside me. A young boy lost his father. Children who open their eyes. There will come an occasion when they will open their eyes with no father to oversee them. What does this mean? What is the fault? What did we do?
That video posted by Layla Fadal, the Baghdad bureau chief for McClatchy newspapers. Tim McGirk, our guest, he was with Time magazine breaking the story in 2005. The response of Iraqis, Tim.
Well, I think their outrage is perfectly understandable. That here we are. We came to Iraq. We expressed an interest, at least, that we would get rid of the dictator Saddam Hussein, and that we would establish democracy with full human rights. And here's a case where so many Iraqis were killed, women and children, old men, and yet what's happened? Most of the charges have been dismissed, and Wuterich was basically, given a slap on the wrist.
And Tim, your reaction to the recent revelations that over 400 pages of investigative documents related to the Haditha massacre were found in a trash bin in Iraq?
I know that was a very surreal experience to have this thing coming back like this. I mean, I think in some ways it's very symbolic that we've got. That this is the legacy that we've been leaving behind in Iraq. It isn't a democracy. It's kind of the smoldering evidence of what was really a crime that happened in Haditha that's been just disregarded.
And in terms of the impact of the Haditha massacres in the war in Iraq and the American public's willingness to support that war, as well as the Iraqi public's view of the U.S. occupation and involvement in Iraq?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things to that. I think there were 2 turning points in the Iraqi war as far as American public opinion goes. There was Abu Ghraib and what happened inside the prison there, and then there was Haditha. And I think those were two incidents that that really, I think, turned the American public opinion against the war in Iraq and what we were doing there. People really began to question how we were going about prosecuting this war and whether or not this was the right way to win over the Iraqis. I think for the Iraqis, it made them realize that there was a double standard, that we were talking about democracy, and at the same time we were giving immunity to our troops who weren't observing the rules of engagement, who weren't observing the fact that you have to have a positive ID before you open fire. And these are residences, you know, filled with families.
Loyola Law School professor David Glazier recently told the Associated Press that Wuterich was being used as a scapegoat in Haditha.
Now it looks like, you know, once again, the military is sort of treating the low-ranking individuals as scapegoats, or arguing that they're rogues and that there's no accountability for anyone above them for their conduct. So I think to a lot of observers, the failure to hold anyone senior to these Marines, to Sergeant Wuterich, accountable, generated a lot of sympathy for him, and will lead many people to believe that a harsh verdict in his particular situation would have been unjust.
That was David Glazier of Loyola. Tim McGirk, that possibility of other people being charged going up the chain of command, is there any possibility?
I think there's absolutely zero possibility of that happening. I mean, as far as the Marines and the Pentagon go, this is a case that's been shut after 6 years. And I think that's the end of that. You know, as far as they're concerned, there's certainly no chance that anyone further up the chain of command is ever going to be brought to any kind of court over this thing.
Tim McGirk, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Time Magazine contributor, managing editor of the investigative reporting program at UC Berkeley, speaking to us from the University of California, Berkeley. In 2006, he broke the story of the slaughter of 24 Iraqi civilians by U.S. Marines in the town of Haditha, Iraq. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting